It's showtime.
So I've been curious, Bill. What brings a Missouri lawman way out here?
Yeah, looking for that grand sense of adventure in the West, I suppose.
So being a lawman wasn't adventurous enough for you?
I guess I was looking for a different kind of adventure. And turns out Memphis wasn't all it's cracked up to be.
What happened in Memphis?
A bunch of good men got killed. All of them my friends. After that, Memphis just lost its luster.
When'd you get to running with Shooter?
Well, I met Shooter in Chattanooga. In lieu of a court-martial, he was on disciplinary leave. A lot of people didn't like Shooter, but we always got along pretty good.
I don't know, Bill. If I was you, I'd grow a pair of eyes in the back of my head.
Sooner or later, every man's got to make a choice. On the back end of that choice is where a man finds out what he's made of.
You're the only one who can end this.
Psychically, I'm very well endowed.
I wanna know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide. I wanna know what you're feeling. Tell me what's on your mind.
Unmute. All right, there we go. Unmuted. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a surprise show on Thursday. This is going to be a special show. Wanted to get this gentleman on ever since I heard of his project. Before he comes on, I have to give you a little bit of a warning. This The man you saw in the video is not the man we're getting, so let me show you why.
Now.
Okay, push play.
I did.
Okay. So tomorrow we're filming the last scene. We need younger Bill, so part of the beard's got to go. So my wife has been waiting for this for years now.
Show us.
Mine has to be grapes. Grape over. So it is what it is. Today is the last day of it. I'll go back to being clean shaven Sally.
All righty. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to prepare you guys, for the Mr. Clean Shaven. So he's even more clean shaven than he was then. So there you go. Because I didn't want to invite you on, and people were like, "Where's the bearded guy? Where's the guy in the video?" So I was like,
Clean
"Who's that young guy?"
Sally.
There you go. Yeah, well, yeah. His wife's happy about it, so that's all that matters.
That really is all that matters.
Well. So how many kids you got?
2 kids.
2 kids. I thought I saw 2 of them, so I was just.
Yeah. My son and daughter,
Mhm.
7 and 5.
Wow. Yeah. So you're a late bloomer like me, you. Yeah. Are you Gen X or are you millennial?
Oh no, I'm Gen X. I'm 46. I was born in 78.
46?
Yep.
Fellow Xer. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Talk about late bloomers. I think all of us are kind of like finding I see a lot of Gen Xers that are just suddenly like finding their groove. It seems like we're all like once we hit 45, everybody's like, "Oh, I think I finally figured out what I'm going to do with my life."
Yeah.
I got a lot of friends that kind of started families late and things like that.
Oh, dude, I would have been a horrible father before now. I'm glad I didn't have any kids before now.
Well, we had boomers, to look on to as parents. So that probably wouldn't be a good idea for most of us.
Oof. Yikes! There are some good ones out
anyway,
there. Man,
there you go. Yeah, I saw. Must have sowed some pretty wild oats. You when you listed your attributes, you kind of started out with, once upon a time you might have been a drug addict a little bit. You got that listed everywhere. So that's it's kind of like something you pride you overcame.
Yeah.
So how long you been sober?
See, I'm 6 going on 7 years.
There you go. Awesome. So that's about the time your daughter was born.
Yeah. That was a big catalyst for it.
Oh yeah, that'll straighten anybody out. I'm pretty much.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that having a kid was their salvation. Completely, totally.
Yep.
The one, I think that's that father instinct kicks in.
Yeah.
It really does change you. I'm a single man and I've never been married, but I got a dog like about 13 years ago, and it's like just having a dog and having somebody that you looks up to you and loves you and that you protect really changes you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure it does.
Not that I'm comparing dogs to a kid, but she was my kid. She really was. But unfortunately, she has a lot shorter life expectancy than a child would. But that's the catch-22. Anyway, so how long has Missouri Bricks been a band?
Not long.
Not long?
Probably no. Nope. There's since about. I got a lot of dates are running together right these days. But see, that was we shot the video in November of 22. So I would say September of 22.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
you
because I wrote the songs.
New band.
Yeah, I wrote the songs. I wrote the songs. Wrote and recorded those first 4 songs solo. And
Tom Skoltz.
What's that?
So you Tom Skoltz it, huh?
Yeah. Okay, now I need to end.
There you go. Yeah, most people don't know Tom Skoltz Boston didn't exist when Tom Skoltz made that album, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's what a lot of people do, you know. They start out with the project and then they're like, "Oops, gotta have a band now," you know.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of great projects have happened that way. Like Steely Dan's only ever been those 2 guys, you know. But yeah, they did all these incredible albums. Just
what up, Evelyn Music?
Got somebody showed up. Hey, welcome. Good, welcome in. Welcome to the show. Well, so the script for the movie, was that something that fell in your lap, or is it something you wrote?
No, I wrote that. Yeah. Because
awesome.
It all started. It started with the songs and the original idea, because we had the 3 original songs, and then we did the Midnight Montgomery cover. And the idea was, okay, we'll do 3 music videos with some interstitial footage to tie them all together that you could watch back to back to back as one like complete narrative. And we started shooting, and the scenes, like the just for the music video, the scenes, there was a lot of meat there, and it's like there's a bigger story here to tell. And so I took the video treatments that I wrote for each song and just spread that out into and wrote a screenplay and a script, and it was like, okay, this is bigger now. So here we go.
Yeah. So it's like a concept album, like Tommy.
Yeah. Yep. Very much so.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. I've always been fond of concept albums. I think it's a lost art. You know, everybody goes to the single anymore.
Yeah.
But, Midnight in Montgomery is a good song. It's Alan Jackson, isn't it?
Yes, sir. The legend, Alan Jackson.
Yes. Can't argue with Alan Jackson, certainly.
No,
nobody. No. Even the new country people don't argue with Alan Jackson. So, you know.
No, he's one of the
He's
goats.
on Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that's great about Alan Jackson is that he was at the top of the heap in my opinion, the best era for country music. I know a lot of people think the 70s was was the great era. For me, I think late 80s to mid 90s, that was like peak country.
Gotcha.
You had that's when you had Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, George Strait, Garth Brooks,
Aaron Tippin.
I mean, the list goes. Reba McEntire, Christina McBride. Just the list keeps going and going. Like there's just so many amazing artists.
Oh yeah, totally.
And
that's Martina McBride, right?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. And he was he was at the top of that heap then. Right. It's like, it's hard to beat that.
There's a bunch of hit makers going on. George Strait definitely in there.
Yep, Dwight Yoakam.
Right. Oh, Dwight Yoakam. He was more rockabilly, kind of like
He
at
was, yeah,
Bakersfield.
yep.
Yeah, I
Guitars
really
and
dug it.
Cadillacs, like
Yeah.
that's still one of my favorite songs. I love
Best version
I
of
love it.
Suspicious Minds. I put
Uh-huh.
it ahead of anybody. That's
Yep.
awesome. That guitar lick in there is just sizzling. I love it.
Yeah.
So if you tell I'm a little bit of a music wog, you know. Chattahoochee, you're gonna do Chattahoochee?
No, I can't pull that off. I can't pull that off. But man, what a good, like, that's one of the classics.
You're not cool
man.
enough to say hoochie coochie in a song?
I
No?
am not. I am not.
Right. Gotcha. Lots of music is like fun tracks too. Yeah. And Fast as You is fun to play. Fast as You is awesome. Also has a great guitar lick. That Bakersfield style has always been fun. I've been fond of it. Buck Owens, man. Love Buck Owens. Oh, Pixel Trader. Hey, Bunny, you shared StreamYards rather than his Insta link. Oh, no. Well, that ain't good. I probably should get rid of that. All right.
I'm such a noob. I don't even know what that means.
Well, it means that anybody that wanted to click on that would wind up in the StreamYards with us. So I got the wrong link listed there. So weird, because I was pretty sure it was the Instagram link. All right, no big deal.
Well, I posted
what
the YouTube link to my Twitter.
Oh, okay, that'll work. Yeah. Yeah, you know, one of my favorite things that happened around that time was when Johnny Cash completely totally changed the game at the age that he was. You know, just you know, the whole outlaw image, you know, he kind of got neutered for a long time, and then everybody forgot who he was, and so he went completely outside the system, and suddenly all these teenagers were coming home telling their parents, "Mo, I heard about this. There's this really cool old guy named Johnny Cash. You ever hear of him?"
Yeah.
And, suddenly he was relevant again in a way that that he hadn't been in like decades, and that whole entire thing. I mean, greatness is greatness, right?
That's true. I just thought it was funny, like when what year did he die in? 05? 04?
I think it was later than that, but let me look it up real quick.
The year he died, I was in my another metal band, and we were at that point, like it was almost laughable, because like at every metalcore show you had to have like the token acoustic emo guy.
It's 2003. You're right. You're pretty close.
So there was like that token acoustic emo kid that had to play at the show.
Right.
And so I can't tell you how many, like, 19 in 2003 they were 19 years old, and or like in 2000, this would have been a little after he died, because that's when that those records he did with Rick Rubin really blew up. And so
American Records. And
you have all these like 18, 19-year-old dudes singing Johnny Cash it's like, because it was trendy. I just just made me want to barf.
Right. Well, funny thing about it is they threw him in the deep end. The first performance he did of that first album was the Viper Room, and the story is that the Viper Room was like where all the cool kids went, right?
Yeah.
And so they'd have some of the biggest bands in the world come through there, and they'd ignore them, you know, just to show how cool they were. You know, you have U2 on the stage or somebody like that, and they're all like just, you know, chatting and acting like, you know, it's just the bar band, right? but he actually had 3 encores at the Viper Room that first night.
That's awesome.
He started with his stuff he did in that first album, and then they kept calling him back, and so he started doing his old stuff. And he said, and he basically burned the whole bar down, just him and a guitar. And he had this, he like up to that point he doubted himself, but here, that kind of proved to him that he was still, he still had whatever that is that he's always had,
Yep. Legend.
Right. Legend. Right.
Living.
And
legend.
I see a lot of his spirit in the independent area of what's happening now, because I see a lot of people like the comic area where I am, people like Graham Nolan,
oh yeah, man.
Legendary, we all have comics with his name on it, and suddenly they're no longer calling him, and he just says, he sees this movement over here, and he's like, I'm just joining these guys.
Yep.
And now he's more relevant than he ever has been. Probably has better sales than mainstream.
Yeah.
And it's just like basically quality is gonna rise to the surface one way or another. And so I see people like what you're doing. I see people who probably don't have a shot at the mainstream because let's face it, everything's demographics now, and they're not going to look at you and see talent or star potential. They're just going to look at you and say, oh, he's middle aged, and we got to get somebody in here that we can exploit for like 30 years.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. These days it's more like 10 years, but
Yeah, he's pale and male is stale.
No, you've heard that, huh?
Yeah. Like, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'll be able to
think about it. This is going direct to the market. The profit margins, maybe you don't get the reach that you would have, but the profit margins are even better than getting a few points on an album. I remember when TLC declared bankruptcy after that album, that was a gigantic album they had, Crazy Sexy Cool, I think it was called. And they went bankrupt, and everybody's like, how the hell do you go bankrupt? You had like 4 number 1 hits off of that album or whatever. And I saw an interview with them. It's like, well, this is how you go bankrupt, because evidently they had a contract with Pebbles, who did that, My Mercedes, and she basically got a lot of the album, and then they had Herbie Azor between them, and then he got points off their album, and then it went to the main, that everything came off of their cut.
Oh yeah.
And so everybody was getting guaranteed points, and everything that all the like touring costs and everything like that was coming out of their cut.
Yeah, and they were getting, I mean, I don't know the particulars of their deal, but if they were getting 10% of the revenue after recoup, that was like the unicorn deal. Like that's like the best deal you could hope for, is to get 10 points after recoup.
Right.
And so that means of all the money for anybody listening that doesn't know, it's like for all the money that one record generates, they would get 10% of that money after the record label recoups all of their money. So
exactly.
And then everybody like the manager, the booking, the agents, all of that stuff comes out of that last 10%. So
and so it's like the crazy deal that like Creedence Clearwater Revival had, where they actually sued John Fogerty after he dissolved the group because of the contract that they had. He dissolved the group and he went out on his own, but then the guy who owned the Creedence Clearwater Revival back in their catalog went after him for sounding like Creedence Clearwater Revival. And he's like, I was Creedence Clearwater Revival.
It's like, what do you want me to do? This is my voice.
Exactly. But they're like I think it was Old Man Down the Road sounded too much like Running Through the Jungle, and so he had to play them back to back on the. But I mean, when you see the nastiness that happens, these people that sell their soul to the on these deals, and they could be massive successes, and at the end of the day, they're pretty much having to work 9 to 5s to make ends meet. That's just like happened all over for years and years. Music world sounds wide. Yeah, it is. You have no idea.
It's a mess, man.
It is a mess.
It's. I mean, these days, like today, it's a little bit different because there are fewer barriers to entry,
right?
And so, the record labels are less and less relevant.
Yeah.
Like I worked, and so here's the sad thing.
Okay.
So I worked for a music studio and an artist management firm for almost 13 years. And we used I don't want to name drop him, but we used a very well-known lawyer out of New York, an entertainment lawyer.
Right.
And he told us, he said, I have never audited a record label and found they did not owe their artists money.
Wow.
Then that's just the thing. That's the catch-22 the label puts you in. Like, so every record label owes their artists money. Every single label owes their artists money. The only way to get that money is to have a lawyer audit the label. Once you do that, then you're blacklisted. And if you have, let's say you have 2 records or 3 records left on your contract, they'll record those records and just shelve them and never put them out because it's not contractually, they're not contractually obligated to put them out. So, I mean, the record industry is as corrupt as it gets.
Well, there was a group that had a #1 hit 5 years after they broke up. It's their name Ranger, and they're out of Canada. And their record deal was so bad that basically to recoup losses, they basically wrote off their album and put it on the shelf. But then somebody, A&R rep, put it out because they found it in the vault, and they're like, "Hey, this is actually really good. Let's see if we can make some money off of it." And they had a #1 hit, and they broke up by that point. So something similar happened with what is the name of that group? The thing Shine On, or I can't remember. Anyway, but there's a group that actually broke up, and months later, their album that they thought was a failure had a single that caught on the radio, but I can't remember the name of it. But they're like a southern rock band, kind of mid '90s. I can't remember the name of it though. That just flew out of my head. Hold on a second. Well, I'm sure there are great bands out there I've never heard of. Would be cool if easier to find, like Anvil comps every few months or what have you. It would be awesome.
Oh, that's a pretty cool idea.
Well,
Richard, get on it.
Yeah. There you go, Richard. You got marching orders. Well, something that's interesting that's happened. This kind of happened early on. You ever hear of the group Hanson?
Oh yeah,
the MMMBop guys.
Oh yeah.
Okay, what people don't know is the reason they fell off the map was their second album sold over a million units, and their label was telling them that they were a failure, and so they decided that they'd buy out their own contract and go completely, totally 100% solo. People don't know this happened, but the reason why they both thought there was a one-hit wonder, but there were actually multiple hits off of both those albums. And so they went solo, made their own label, and they've been very happily carving out their own little place in the industry, and they're selling out arenas without mainstream help. The same thing happened with Home Free. Now, Home Free was one of those contest winners, the Sing-Off, the ones that launched Pentatonics. Well, Home Free was also a cappella band, but they're in the country area. And as soon as they could get out of that contract that they signed with, I think, of CBS or somebody, which was basically a slave contract. As soon as they could, so as soon as they didn't sign another contract. They simply started releasing their stuff onto YouTube, and then backing it up with were like released singles on YouTube, and then had the album available. And they are the biggest country artist in the world, I think, money wise, but nobody knows it because the mainstream kind of tries to ignore that they exist. So, I mean, but these basically what we're not seeing is that there's this gigantic movement that's happening, and the reason why is it's not televised.
Yeah,
the revolution will not be televised.
Yep.
It never is. The revolution's never televised until the revolution takes over the means of television, or televised.
Well, Jelly Roll's in that same camp.
Exactly. Yes.
They couldn't ignore him. They couldn't ignore him anymore, though.
No, they could not. They wanted to.
Yeah, and that's my mentality of this whole thing. It's just like, okay, if you're going to do something independent, you have to do it. You have to do it as if you are going to be. It's going to be too good and too big for anyone to ignore.
Right.
So do it and do it right. Do it big.
Be undeniable. Right.
Yep.
Well, I mean, just moving into the movie area, Angel Studios has totally changed the game.
Yeah.
We're talking about a fledgling studio that was basically created out of self-preservation when Disney tried to sue a corporation called VidAngel into the ground for censoring content. And basically to shelter some assets, they created Angel Studios because they were like developing original content. So they created Angel Studios. And well, Angel Studios is unique because they have a crowdsource that picks the movies that they develop.
Yeah.
Basically. And they call it the wisdom of the crowd. They basically have this crowd of people, and if it rates high enough, then they develop it. And Sound of Freedom, which completely kicked Indiana Jones's butt over 4th of July weekend, at 2,000 less theaters, and no big machine behind it except for word of mouth. That came through their system.
Yeah.
And Disney had shelved it for 5 years. That movie had been shelved.
Was it 5? I knew it'd been shelved for a while. I didn't know how long. That's a sheesh.
Yeah. Considering the subject matter and the things that we see Disney involved in, it's kind of like,
big
that's
surprise.
Surprise. They didn't want that one out. But the bigger thing is they survived a lawsuit head to head with Disney. They're the only corporation that Disney's ever sued that survived.
Nice. Good for them.
And most of it was because they had people, the crowd was helping them. No big corporation, no big backers. It was all crowdsource. And they were able to stay afloat. They were able to, and then it didn't hurt that Chosen came out and became the biggest runaway hit on streaming that streaming services have seen in a long time. Which I've watched the first season, and it's awesome. It really is awesome. Even if you're not a Christian, it's awesome. But basically, what's happening right now is there's this like this revolution going on, and I'm seeing projects start popping up, para Hollywood projects like Critical Drinker had a book series that basically where he made his money before he really made it big on YouTube was this book series that he put out. I can't remember the name of his character, but it's like he's kind of like a Jack Ryan type, you know.
Yeah.
And so he's actually putting out his own movie.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and so a lot of people are already talking about things like that. They're not even going to the studios anymore. A lot of these people are going straight to the crowd. And guess who we have to thank for all this? This is funny. This all is made possible by a law that Obama shepherded through.
Of course.
And now the reason why he did this was because they wanted to launder money through smaller contributors, so they could hide the funding sources. And so that's what they meant it for. But what they meant for evil, God meant for good. And the reason why why crowdfunding is possible now is because of that law, and which allows smaller individual contributors to contribute to the whole, to fund projects. That's the reason why we even have Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and these other ones is because of that law.
I was unaware of that.
Yeah, I was unaware of it too till very, very recently. And I was like, oh, something good came from Obama, really? You know? Well, I mean, it wasn't meant to be good, and I'm sure he regrets it now when you see how Trump's been able to stay afloat and raise money.
Yeah.
Without
it's just it lets people vote with their dollar.
Exactly. It basically takes the gatekeepers out of it.
Yeah.
And it's removed the stranglehold that mainstream has had on the products that people are seeing, creative products that people are seeing. And because of that, meritocracy has moved away from the mainstream and is completely an independent space now. And so people know that anything comes out of mainstream is going to be pretty much DEI to death. Yeah. And so people are like rejecting that, and they're looking around. They're like, okay, I know anything that comes from that source is going to be tainted. So let me, and it's like, what, you know, you hear right now the whole Sweet Baby Inc. and all that, the AAA gaming. But yep. What nobody's talking about is the fact that mid-level gaming and especially independent producers are just blowing up right now. Because they're moving away from these AAA gigantic studios, which are completely corrupted, and are these triple mid-level gaming, or quote mid-level, with some are better than anything AAA is putting out, and because they allowed the girls to have boobs and be sexy, you know. I mean, they're about to butch out Lara Croft. I mean, come on now. So that's going to work. That's really going to work. But basically, what's happening is, you know, like what you're doing right now with what you're doing. And you're just basically saying, if my product is good, I'll put it in front of people. If they like it, they'll support it. Rather than to have some mid-level executive somewhere say, I don't think it's good. Okay, we're going to put it on a shelf.
Yeah.
You know, or we're not gonna accept it, you know. I don't think it's good. It's not my taste. It's not my desire.
Because if there's one thing, like if there's one thing I wish the public would grasp, like one concept the public would grasp, it's that those executives, those mid-level executives in music and in movies are stupid.
They are. They really are
stupid. They don't they get lucky and they assume that equals their talent. Right. I'll give you a perfect example.
Go ahead.
So at that studio and the artist firm that I worked for, we had a sort like a pop punk, like a pop punk band.
Yeah.
That in Ohio was blowing up. Like they were selling out every venue they should have been selling out to get the attention they were getting. Like they were huge. And they were really good. They were catchy. Their frontman was like, he was half frontman, half stand-up comedian. Like the kid was hilarious.
Like David Lee Roth style charisma.
Yeah. Like tons of charisma, could sing and tell jokes. Like
not like David Lee Roth. Okay.
They were just but they were just super entertaining. Okay.
Right.
And they had an enormous chick following. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Now, this is still early enough. That physical sales meant something.
Right.
And people were still buying. People were still buying physical media. Like we had that switch to digital still hadn't taken full effect yet.
Right. And
statistically, market research proves that females in the target demographic buy product more than men in the same demographic.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So this band is getting big. They're getting a label attention, and one of the frontmen, not one of the frontmen, one of the A&R reps. Roadrunner Records. Flies out for a showcase.
Yeah. And
we rent a venue, and it's just the rep, us, and the band. No audience, nothing.
Right.
Rep and the A&R guy watches. He's like, these guys are great. I'd love to see them in a full room in a real show. It's like, sweet. Yeah. We'll set it up. And fly back out.
Right.
So month and a half later, sold out show, packed house. Band plays a phenomenal show. Crowd is lit. I mean, it was like the perfect scenario. Okay.
Right.
And the A&R guy looks at us and says, these guys are awesome. Their crowd is just chicks, though. I don't know what to do with that.
Oh, wow.
I was like, are you serious? Like, you
never heard of 80s hair metal?
You Nickelback. It was the A&R guy. It was Ron Furman, the guy that signed Nickelback. He said, there's so many girls in this crowd. I don't know I don't know what to do with it. Are you allergic to money? Are you allergic to sales? You idiot. And so it's like at that point I realized, like, these A&R guys are morons. They have no idea what they're doing. Like, dude got lucky. With, and he gets lucky with one band, and all of a sudden people think he's a genius. This guy, they're idiots. They're absolute idiots. And it's the same in the in the movie industry. Like, those people are dumb.
Oh, totally.
Their opinion should be regarded as such.
Oh yeah. Hey, I know. Let's put Harvey Weinstein's Hatchet Girl in charge of a show. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
All right. Let me see. So let me get caught up here. That's a cool model potentially. He's talking about the putting out singles and digital. Jones is pretty solid. Very solid. Very solid. I'm not sure. I think we're a little past the moment. I'm not sure what that is. Anyway. All right. William F says, "What are we discussing? We are discussing alternative media because my friend here is about to put out a movie and has an album soundtrack. So it's basically I'd say a concept album like Tommy. So that's why we're having this discussion. He's a guy to talk to. What band love 80 aughts pop punk? What's the name of the band?
The band
You
was
were
called
just talking
Lovesick
about?
Radio. Yeah, the band was called Lovesick Radio. They
Okay.
had they got like a small independent record deal, and but they never
Yeah.
like they lost heart. I mean, it was and I get it, man. I get it.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
because they had a lot of potential, and it was just like that was like a nail in the coffin for them. Like they were so defeated after
Right.
after a guy who should have known better said something so stupid. They were just they were just bummed out. And their guitar player had been in another band already. Then that other band was like a pop rock band, and they did like a world tour with Shakira. They played Madison Square Garden, like.
Oh wow!
And so like he knew what was up, knew the industry, and then to have that happen, is just like what is
Oh
going
yeah.
on? Like
Sounds
so,
a
yeah,
lot like what was the Badfinger? Sounds a lot like Badfinger. That was the first group that the Beatles signed to the Apple label. They had George Harrison like coming in on guitars and stuff like that, and because of that, everybody accused them of being like basically Beatles clones. But when you go back and listen to the music, they were in a lot of ways better than the Beatles, except they never could escape that shadow. Baby Blue. I mean, there's so many hits that they have, but everybody just thinks that they're Beatles hits, right? And it depressed the lead singer so much, he took his life. And
man.
But you go back and listen to them; they're like one of the best groups of that era. But nobody really knows it because they were on Apple label, and everybody was like wanting to be the Beatles because the Beatles just broke up, and they got buried by it, the expectations. But you go back and listen to their music, and they are very, very solid. And let me see, William F. So what does he say? Women were the reason Nickelback broke out, and it's men that bought the CDs, right? Well, you want to get laid because that's how you get laid. Anyway, my wife got me into pop punk when we first started dating. All right, and Sweet looks like they're on streaming. Yeah. Well, two of the shows that I watch a lot is Rick Beato. Rick Beato was a producer, and he will pull these groups out that he produced, albums that he produced, and they are better than anything you hear on modern radio.
By far.
And he's actually by far. There was this group that he put out called Crowfield, and that first album was just absolutely gold. I've actually after Rick kind of exposed, they don't no longer exist, but they kind of got disheartened after a while. But they had some of these absolute perfect songs, just absolutely like. And he actually revived a career by doing that of a group that he produced an album for called the Muddy Magnolias, and now they're starting to tour. After they completely defunct, but he played one of their what he thought should have been a bigger hit on his show, and people were like, "Hey, who are these guys? They're that good." And so that's interesting how that's kind of like he's like resurrecting some groups that should have got more play.
Yeah.
Also, if you ever watch Professor of Rock. Talk about how stupid A&R reps are. Every single story is kind of like, and the A&R people. It always like the bad guy is always the A&R rep said I don't hear a single here, or something like that, and it turns out it's like a #1 hit or something. And it's just like that story gets done over and over again. Rick Beato is awesome. Commentary in modern charts is hilarious. I'm like, yep. He's got a great channel. He's also got, I think he's about 2 million people sub to his channel. So he has some major sway. He's doing some interviews with some serious people.
Oh yeah, man.
You go back and watch the interview with Nuno Betancourt. I knew Nuno was cool, but that interview, he is hilarious. I laughed so hard. I don't think I ever laughed so hard at that interview before. He's talking about first time he picked out a 12-string, he did the song Wholehearted. But he's like, I was on the toilet at the time just noodling around. It says, and my legs fell asleep.
That is awesome.
Yeah. I was like, okay, so you're just taking a dump and you pull out a 12-string and you come up with Wholehearted. I was like, how brilliant are you, dude? You know? But it's just some great stories like that. Let me see a couple more here. Yeah, some great interviews for sure. Mid 40s and my music range is 1940s big bands to current, but White Stripes are fantastic. Yeah. Boy, that's eclectic. Big band to White Stripes. It's like the opposite ends of the scale there.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
you don't get more
big band to 2-piece.
Exactly. Yeah. Let me let me play this trailer again. I played it at the beginning to show what Mr. Christman is doing right now. So this is the movie, but it also has an album accompanying it. And so this is got music alongside of it. So here you go. Let me play that right quick.
So I've been curious, Bill. What brings a Missouri lawman way out here?
Yeah, looking for that grand sense of adventure in the West, I suppose.
So being a lawman wasn't adventurous enough for you?
I guess I was looking for a different kind of adventure. And turns out Memphis wasn't all it's cracked up to be.
What happened in Memphis?
A bunch of good men got killed. All of them my friends. After that, Memphis just lost its luster.
When'd you get to running with Shooter?
Well, I met Shooter in Chattanooga. In lieu of a court-martial, he was on disciplinary leave. A lot of people didn't like Shooter, but we always got along pretty good.
I don't know, Bill. If I was you, I'd grow a pair of eyes in the back of my head.
Sooner or later, every man's got to make a choice. On the back end of that choice is where a man finds out what he's made of.
You're the only one who can end this.
All right, takes a minute for it to unmute sometimes. I don't know why that is, but it's weird. It's weird. Anyway, got Wrangler showed up. Hello, hello, hello. Well, greetings, greetings, greetings. So make a choice. Yep, make a choice. And whoever did the wardrobe and color grading, that red bandana and that last shot. There you go. And no audio. Yep. Sorry, guys. Sometimes it takes a little minute for it to let go. Okay, there we go. All right. Yeah, sometimes audio will hang on. I don't know why that is. But yeah, makes you look a little like odd because it lets your guest go and you're still not unmuted. And it's like, what's wrong with you? You know, it's like, come on. You know, sorry. But yeah, I see a few shades of like a Pale Rider in there. Was that a favorite of yours?
Yes, that's Pale Rider's one of my top 5.
Yeah. You know, the whole scene going into the bank, you know, kind of there's that reminded me of the scene where the preacher went into the bank, you know, and got his guns out.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think he might have got some shades of Pale Rider in there somewhere. So Pale Rider's actually in my top 5 westerns of all time myself. Very underrated. Everybody talks about Unforgiven, but I think Pale Rider's I enjoy Pale Rider more. I don't rewatch Unforgiven. I rewatch Pale Rider every time it's on.
Yeah.
So maybe technically it's not a better movie, but it's a more fun movie for me, you know?
Yeah.
I always consider Pale Rider part of The Man with No Name, like a epilogue to The Man with No Name, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's what Blondie did, you know, with the rest of his life, you know, became a preacher.
Yeah.
But the top hat, I mean, that's just a great decision and haberdashery there.
I was this close to getting the exact same hat.
Oh wow, really?
But like I was thinking about it, like as I was hashing it over, it was like I didn't want to be, because I knew with Bill, with like when Bill gets on the white horse, like
right.
I knew there was going to be a lot of comparisons to Pale Rider at that point because he rode that dapple gray.
Yeah,
it was like I can't do the same hat too, so I had to. So I went with that flat brim.
Right. Hat. Well, one of my favorite line readings of all time is the young girl reading the Bible verse, and it's like, and upon the pale horse set death, and then he comes into the screen and she says, and all hell followed with him.
Yep.
Perfect. It was just beautiful timing on that one. But let's see. Fantastic reminds me of the Eagles. They did Desperado album cover meets plus beats Creed. Okay. Yep. Creed is actually very underrated. I didn't see Pale Rider still. I have it upstairs. Don't watch it yet. Watch it tonight.
Dude, watch it before you watch Ballad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Go ahead. Watch that. Definitely. Jesse Wells is up there. Jesse Wells is definitely up there. Clint Spaghetti Westerns were money. They definitely were.
Sergio Leone was awesome. Like
right.
Because the thing that was always funny, so like growing up in rural Southern Ohio and in farm country, and just riding horses and a lot of his movies were supposed to be, which one was it? Was it the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? Was half of that was supposed to be set in like Illinois,
right?
And it's so where they filmed in Spain,
right?
Filmed in Spain, it's all desert and sandy and dry, and like you knew, and like and you could tell it's like all the ADR because like different one actor would have this voice in one movie, and the same actor would have a different voice in another movie. Or
Right.
like
Yeah.
the same voice would show up in a different movie with another actor. It's like,
Right.
so it's all ADR, and it's like it's not, the setting's wrong, and the
Yeah.
horses, like it was the wrong breed, the wrong style, the wrong gait of the horses, and I never cared once. I never cared.
No.
It's like it's
No.
so good. I don't care. It's awesome, and I'm watching this all the way, and I'm going to rewind it, and I'm going to watch it again.
Yeah. Eli Wallach just makes the good, bad, and the ugly.
I know.
That movie doesn't work without him being such a slime ball. It just
I
doesn't.
know.
Yeah, I mean, like he's trying to kiss up to the what he thinks are Confederate soldiers, and they dust themselves off, and they're a bunch of Union.
Priceless.
That's great.
And
great.
the gunfight, that 3-way gunfight at the end.
Oh, definitely.
Not a single word of
they
dialogue, and it builds so much tension, and there's so much. The payoff is so good, man. It's just chef's kiss, man.
Well, and then you realize that that Goldie, the reason why he knew that he didn't have to watch the Eli Wallach's character. He didn't have to watch Tuco, because he knew he didn't have bullets in his gun. But the bad guy, who was actually faster, was too distracted by Tuco that he wasn't fast enough. And it's just like he probably would have beat Goldie. He was fat. He was that fast, but because he was paying attention to Tuco, because Goldie knew Tuco would shoot him before he'd shoot the other guy, and so so that's why he took the bullets out of the gun. It's the psychology that's the like 4D chess there.
Lee Van Cleef was so menacing, man.
Oh gosh. But then in the previous movie, he was actually a good guy. Colonel, played a colonel.
Yeah.
That man had such range.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And most people don't know he was like a martial artist. He was trained by Bruce Lee himself, Yeah. I remember watching the Master television series with him in it. And,
is that the one where he was a ninja?
Yeah, he was a ninja.
Yeah,
right?
USA Sunday afternoon, USA Network. I remember that show.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had, tooling around the country in a rape van,
Yeah.
So those all conversion vans, it's so yeah, they got bad reputation. Anyway, so The Outlaw J.Z. Wells is my favorite. Yeah, that's a good movie. Great movie. Anyway, so thank you for coming on, Mr. Christman. I try to keep this about an hour because I know people got things to do. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man. It's fun.
So when's your release date? When these things coming out?
We are going to do a local release here in Idaho on the 29th of June.
Okay.
And if you're a supporting member in Royce Drink with Crazies Guild, we will do a screener before that. We haven't set a date yet. So it's coming up. I got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, no doubt. Goodness. Because you're doing an album along with the audio of the album's just as complicated as the audio in a movie.
The music, all of the soundtracks done like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what I'm doing now is all the sound design for the film. So all the Foley, all the extra dialogue recording, and then the score. There's additional music for the score.
Right.
And we have one more song to release. One more song we'll release in May. It's the song we recorded in February, From the Ashes.
Right.
And that song is Bill's, the violin part in that song is Bill's theme in the movie. So each character has their own music theme, or the three main characters all have their own music motif. Yeah. And so that one will drop in May, and then we'll put the film out in June.
All right. Sounds awesome. That's coming up. Like I said, he's asking do you have channels? He's got both the band channel and his channel are in the description. So check those out for updates. But yeah, I've heard Midnight in Montgomery is really good. I think 2,000 miles from Memphis is the other one
Oh,
that I
thanks,
saw.
man. Thank you.
Definitely got some grit there, that voice, you know.
The only way I can hit the notes.
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, I tell you what. It's not always easy. Sometimes it's more balls than it is technique, right? You know.
When you're like me and you can't sing very well, it is.
well, sometimes it's more about stage presence. I mean, just ask David Lee Roth, you know, made a whole entire career off of it, you know.
Exactly.
I'm like, you know, you still got people who are like, oh, David Lee Roth, see all the, you know, all these front man, and now I listen to Sammy Hagar hit the notes in Dreams, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna go with that guy, you know.
Yeah.
I've seen people cover that song, and you know, it's like that is way up there. I cannot believe he sang that first out of the chute. Well, what? Anyway, a few minutes behind. Sounds like things are wrapping up. So thanks. Yeah, we're wrapping up a little bit here. But thank you for coming in. Thank you for the Gilded, for all the guys from the Gilded showing up. Hail the Iron Age. I am very Iron Age friendly around here. For the most part, I'm in a lot of CG circles, but that's not my fight. You know, I don't pay attention to that bullshit. You know, I'm pretty much, we're all in the same, we're all like fighting for the same thing here. So I don't see any, I call everybody friend until they prove otherwise. Anyway, so that's been Coop for Telepathic Bunny Comics here with Jarrod Christman. Thank you all for coming, and follow the White Rabbit, and we'll see you next rabbit hole. You all have a good afternoon.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
All right.
that song over the end thing is so good. Oh, you're still muted.